And Alyssa Orange with us from Pig Trail Nation. Going to give us some of her time each Tuesday. And mom of a birthday boy today. How you doing, Alyssa?
I'm doing good. Yeah, big shout out to Finn. He is 5 years old today, which is crazy to think about. And I always associate his birthday with football season. It kind of gets to that point of the year where it's Finn's birthday, and then we hit football season right away. So it's fun.
Yeah. And I guess having you on the show on his birthday is kind of like it brings you all the way back to the day that he was born, right? Because there's a story involving radio to when he was born. And Alyssa said that it's okay to bring this up. Go ahead.
Absolutely. This is a fun story. So in 2016, when he was born, by the way, my due date is September 29th. And so I think that puts some context in the story that I'm about to tell. So we were about a month out from his due date. And that year in 2016, if you remember, it was a Wednesday. And Arkansas opened up the season with FAMU in Little Rock on a Thursday. So all summer long, it was everyone but Alyssa is going to Little Rock because what happens if she gets to Little Rock and her water breaks? Oh, my gosh. So it's Wednesday. I get out of a meeting, our annual 1:30 meeting, and saw when I was still doing radio with Bo and they were still doing the show, was like, hey, I never got your radio, like, Razorback update. And I was like, oh, shoot, let me go get it for you. So I go into the edit bay to track radio for Saw, and my water breaks. And at first I didn't know what was happening. I was kind of like, maybe TMI, but when you're pregnant, and I feel like if there are any women who are listening who have been pregnant understand, like, it was kind of like, oh, did I just, like, pee on accident? Like, I just didn't know what was going on. And then I was like, no, I don't think so. I think my water broke. So I called the only person in the office who's had a baby, which was my friend Melissa at the time, a former meteorologist. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. She's like, I think your water broke. And I was like, no, I don't think it did. I don't think so. He's not due for another month. She was like, well, maybe it's an accident, knowing, like, full well, hell no, this ain't an accident. Like, you don't accidentally break your water. So she puts me in the car, and I feel so bad because we had an intern. And poor Haley, I had to be like, Haley, I'm sorry, I have got to go. And it was just me and her in the office, and this poor girl, I always think back to, like, what was going through her mind. Because she was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now. So on the way to the hospital, I call Jason Carroll. He doesn't answer. They're all on the way to Little Rock. So I called Gene, and I said, Gene, tell Jason my water broke. And you could hear in the car, like, ha, 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 yeah, right. And I was like, no, but for real, I'm pretty sure my water broke. I'm going to the hospital, and I'm not back at the office. So you guys are just going to have to figure it out by. And so get there, sure enough, water breaks. And about 9 hours later, the baby boy was delivered. So, shout out to Dr. Terry. He delivered Finn. He also delivered Bella. But I remember the whole entire time I had an epidural, but I was like, my team is in Little Rock, and I'm here having a baby. I'm pretty sure at some point he told me to be quiet. But he's the best. So this day is always a great day because it's a fun story to tell.
Yeah, it brings it all back. But I have a couple of questions based upon on this story. You are a consummate professional, Alyssa. So did you finish the radio segment?
Saul did get his radio, yes.
Okay. That's what has to happen. The show must go on, so I am continuously told. Yes. Yeah. And then, is Finn always early to everything? Does he wake up early? Does he get to school early? Is he an early kid based upon how he was brought into this world?
Not really. No, he's a high energy. He doesn't like to wait. Maybe that's the impatient part about him. He's very much like go, go, go. But no, he could sleep all day if we'd let him. The funny part, too, is I had to call Saul. And at that point during the radio, and I'm sure you guys understand, like, his phone is off, and I guarantee it's, like, upside down, so he doesn't see me calling. So I call him, like, 3 times to tell him, like, I'm in the hospital, and he doesn't answer. So I know for a fact that Bart Pullman will answer because Bart does have his phone because as the producer, he's got his phone right there ready to go. So I call him, and I was like, you have to go tell Saul that my water just broke. And the story there was, like, he went in and he told Saul, and Saul goes, I didn't really know what to do. He, like, sat there for 5 minutes trying to figure out what he should do until Saul finally was like, you need to leave.
So, I mean, this brings up a question I kind of wonder about. I have my 2 kids, but their mom will watch over them during games unless I bring them up. And they're also, at an age where they might actually be able to be at the stadium, 13 and 10. You and Saw, you got to watch the games. There's things to worry about, So what are the kids doing during the games? Do they show up at the games? Are they old enough to be there with you guys and not take away your attention?
Sure. Saul brought him once to the game last year against Missouri at the end of the year. There'd be no way that I'd be able to get any work done if I brought him with me. So we've been able to, with the help of our family members and some babysitters, we've got Saturdays and weekends covered during football season. But, it takes a village because come football season, these 4 kids, we're in 8 different directions.
Mm-hmm. Now that we are at game week, Alyssa, what's your favorite part of the first game? For me, it's one, it's walking through the crowd, seeing people that I haven't seen in years, just seeing all the sights and sounds, and then getting to the press box and seeing my little name there and a program and looking out on the field with nobody on there. That's like one of my favorite moments of life is game 1 in the press box before everything gets going. What's your favorite thing leading up to the first game of the year?
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Absolutely. I love being in the press box and walking into the press box and saying hello. And it's a time where you get to see a lot of faces that you haven't seen in a while. Some of the media down from Little Rock will come up and you get to say hello to some of those colleagues and run into people and mingle a little bit. And then it's sitting in that row, in press row, and sitting at your seat and watching the game and the kickoff and running through the A. I mean, it's just a really cool environment. We get a very unique perspective from where we are. No, we can't cheer in the press box or make noise or, do anything like that. But that's kind of my favorite part is maybe the quiet before the game starts. And we're sitting in there and there's just the anticipation of things starting. I really enjoy that moment, not just the first game of the year, but I think every game. Just kind of being in that stadium before everyone starts to arrive. There's just a really special vibe about being in there right before things get going that I love.
Mm-hmm. Now we're on here Tuesday. We're about to hit the middle of the week, and middle of the week is where a lot of people they go from being optimistic to pessimistic or vice versa. How do you feel about this game? And have you got more nervous or more thinking, Arkansas is going to handle them easy type of feel? Like, which way are you kind of leaning right now on the meter?
Yeah, I'm definitely not in the Arkansas is going to roll and win it handedly yet, just because I haven't seen anything from this team outside of practice. And so you just never know what you're going to get, right? So I feel good about this team. I feel good about this game. I think it's going to be maybe closer than some of us anticipate. So that's maybe where I am. Like, this is going to be something. It's going to be closer than we think. We're not giving Cincinnati enough credit because they lost so many pieces to last year's playoff team. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's really hard for me to be a pessimist because that's just really just not in my nature. To be down for no reason. But I can't overhype myself either. I've been doing this way too long to know that if I just get too high, it doesn't usually go well. So even keel is what I am.
Good answer.
Alyssa, the last couple of times that Arkansas opened the season as a ranked team, they didn't play anybody. They just didn't. They didn't play anybody of any sort of competitive quality. I mean, UTEP, Jacksonville State, Missouri State, Tennessee Tech. You don't get a sense of how good your team is against those kind of clubs. And I think 2015 against UTEP and 2012 against Jacksonville State sort of proved that because neither of those teams was really all that good. I think it's great opening up against Cincy because we'll really have a sense of, how Arkansas will look. It's not like they can't come back from a loss, but, you're playing a really good team.
I absolutely, 100%. Phil, remember last year Yeah, it was the Rice game. Everyone was like, but Texas next week. But you had to get through Rice, but Texas next week. There is no but South Carolina next week right now. It is Cincinnati. It is a team that went to where you want to be. They were in the college football playoffs a year ago. This is just not some, like you said, a UTEP or even a Rice team that's coming in here to open up the season and get an easy first win of the year. You got to take care of business. And so there's a lot of excitement. I think they were going to have a lot of Cincinnati fans coming to Arkansas because how many times do they get to play SEC teams? So you're going to have a lot of people making that drive from Ohio, and it's going to be a battle. And that's why I think this is going to be closer than people think. But this is definitely a sit up and take notice. They better not fumble the opening kickoff like they did last year, because you got to be buttoned up top to bottom to be able to compete in this game. And then it's not easy the very next week when you bring in Spencer Rattler in South Carolina the very next week. And then you have Bobby Petrino the week after, and then A&M. I mean, it's just not – we've talked about how hard this schedule is. I mean, last year's schedule was hard too, but at least the first 3 of the first 2 weeks, it was pretty easy.
Hey, before we let you go, I see your Dolphins have signed Trey Flowers. I don't know how long the deal is, but where do you see him fitting in there with Miami?
Yeah, I love that, and I just hope he can come in and bring some veteran leadership to the D-line. You know, the Lions tried to move him to linebacker, and I don't necessarily think that experiment worked. We've just seen him be so successful on the line, so maybe he can come in every now and then and just give a burst of energy off the edge. I love that. But I just love it for Trey Flowers, who is such a good dude, who has been nothing but kind and treated me so well when I've covered him at Arkansas and was able to cover a Super Bowl win with New England and Houston, and wish nothing but the best for him, and hopefully he can find some success to end off his career, because he deserves it, and hopefully the Dolphins can use him where he's needed. But I'm just happy that he found a team that wanted him. And he's not wearing that Patriots uniform anymore. I just love that anyways.
Yeah, and then there's that too. Alyssa, appreciate you. See you Saturday. See you Saturday at the stadium. Thanks as always.
I can't wait to see you guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Alyssa.
It will be a banging time at Donald W. Reynolds Stadium on Saturday, where you can watch the Razorbacks and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Of course, we're going to have the Learfield pregame beginning at 11:30. No, it's going to be at 10:30 in the morning. It helps to know what time you're going on the air, doesn't it?
It would.
Yeah, and of course, we'll have every Sam Pittman live radio show here on this very station or website you're listening to, every single Razorback football game, and that'll lead you right into basketball, leads you right into baseball, and of course, this is your headquarters for all things Arkansas Razorback athletics. Halftime and the morning rush, Ruskin and Zach, and we're going to make sure you are the best informed you possibly can be, and not even just about being informed. We want to be your megaphone. So be a part of the show, and we'll be right back.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.